there's a lot of jealousy and animosity, and that can be understood,
Yeah.
right? If you've been an MVP of the league in the past, yet you were unable to achieve the visibility and perhaps the endorsements that Caitlin Clark has received right out of the gate, it shows that it's normal to assume that there would be some degree of resentment. However, the concern is that that resentment is then leading to targeting on the court. It's happening at a higher rate for Caitlin Clark than anyone else. And unfortunately, it's creating a textbook hostile work environment for Caitlin Clark. And under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the federal government does have an ability to engage here, should they so choose. And so she's facing a hostile work environment. Unfortunately, it appears that it does impact a protected class, her race, as evidenced by quotes by players in the league. And there is a federal element here to where the government can intervene.
Bill, how much did he pay you to come do that commercial on your program? I thought he was playing. I thought it was a setup to a joke. But when I saw you at your half stance, Bill, I knew this was real. Put up the picture full mass. That is your Karen of the year. Literally making a federal case out of a file. A file. A game. Part of the game. Sean McLean, lobbyist. He's a lobbyist. And former staffer for Ted Cruz. And Marsha Blackburn wrote an opinion for the Journal entitled, quote, "The WNBA and Caitlin Clark's Civil Rights," end quote. In the column, he argues that the WNBA, quote, "has fostered a hostile workplace," end quote. For Clark, because she gets fouled a lot by Black players who target her out of racial animus. He will go on to cite Supreme Court cases and called for a full congressional investigation into the WNBA. Stephen A. Smith weighed in on this. Here it is.
If the WNBA continues to allow this treatment of Caitlin Clark, you really, really think they're going to be silent? Now, before you go any further, I'm not here saying that the case will be won by the government if it got to that point or anything like that. I'm saying they have a case. They have an argument. And do we doubt that at his discretion, at his disposal, if he finds this to be an issue that's politically expedient for him, that Trump won't use this to feed his base?
You scared, Stephen A.? That sounds like a yes, a boss commentary to me. What you afraid of, dear brother? You're the in-your-face guy. Tell it like it is. Now you're concerned about the reaction of one man, even though you know the proclamation of this lobbyist is utterly ridiculous. You're not saying they can actually win. You're just saying we's gonna get in trouble. But at least we have somebody who's holding down the culture. By that, I mean holding it up. Yes, we've reached this stage of the Caitlin Clark ridiculousness, where the Wall Street Journal ran a column from a former Trump advisor who believes the federal government should step in to do what? To prevent Caitlin Clark from being harassed at work. You see, put our dear sister back up for me. Jemele Hill. And thank you. Thank you for setting the record straight on this, for the article on Blast. And by, quote, harassed, she said, they mean defense. Defense. A new wave in this country is elevating white grievances so that white folks truly believe they are the real victims of racism. I do not blame Caitlin Clark for this. She just wants the ball. I blame the people who are clutching their pearls at competition and can't stop their sexist mindset of how women are supposed to compete. They are purposely making Black women out to be the villains in Caitlin Clark's story. That's why all of these pundits keep running with the narrative that these women need to be grateful. They're using Cece to get off all these takes of how they really feel about Black women. They want Black women to be humbled and to be reminded of their place. As soon as someone says, quote, they need to be thanking her, end quote, I can hear your dog whistle loud and clear. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal player who does not need y'all laying down these white supremacist capes for her to exist. Here's an example of the villainization of Black women.
It's not just race, though. It's also sexuality. Caitlin Clark is a white heterosexual woman in a Black lesbian league, and they resent and are jealous of all of the attention and the shoe deal that she got.
What does Caitlin Clark do? Like this woman who's a superstar. She's the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. The players of the WNBA can't stand her. Why? Mm-hmm. Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism. All really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. It's true that most of these Black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league.
Blacks don't own the league? Can we put up the young lady Caitlin again? And dear sister, you are a remarkable player, and probably you don't want any of this smoke. They come at you because you're good. That's how it works. It's basketball. You got to say something to these clowns, because contrary to what Megyn Kelly may say, ma'am, you are in the Black league, and these are white supremacists and bigots. And Megyn Kelly believes that Santa Claus and Jesus are white men and not Black. So you got to say something. All right, David, thoughts?
I hope she does say something, because from what I've heard about this, Caitlin Clark, yeah, she understands and she welcomes the fact that she is maybe fouled more than other people, because to her, that's a badge of honor. It shows that she's doing something. She's good, and they're targeting her, and she's like, bring it on. And I think she's the last person that wants anybody saying, hey, no, they need to back off, or this is racism. No, she wants people to say, if they're coming after me, it's because I'm good. It's because I'm the most talented player, and I'm proud of that. And I say, bring it on even more. So yeah, I hope she does say something. And that clown who was the Ted Cruz former staffer who worked for Donald Trump, who's a lobbyist, I think he's proof of what happens when some people just have too much time on their hands and they're just trying to stir up trouble. And yeah, I suppose it's possible Donald Trump could create a court case out of anything. That doesn't mean that it's right. That doesn't mean that it's constitutional. That doesn't mean that it's in anybody's interest. But Donald Trump's, come on, Stephen Smith, you can do better than that.
Yeah, that was a lazy commentary in my opinion. And dear brother, once again, I welcome you to the bullpen anytime.